Hey everybody, Brickyard edition of Stacking Pennies. Some heartbreak for the Ryans, Ryan Blaney, Ryan Flores. See their Brickyard kissing of the bricks moment ripped away. We're going to talk about that. And also Kyle Busch going on the largest sports talk show radio in the country and call me a liar. We'll get into that and all things Indy right now in Stacking Pennies.
Stacking them deep, selling them cheap.
It tastes like gasoline, rubber, and victory.
We're just out here stacking pennies.
And we're in it. What's up, guys? Quarterly Joy here alongside. Did y'all finish second?
Third.
Second loser, Ryan Flores. We're not going to get into that because you were mad salty, still salty.
I'm not. I would say that I'm more like...
You were the Atlantic Ocean.
All I feel is pain, sadness, sorrow, and despair. But I had some time with the kids this morning.
But we're gonna work through that today. We're gonna work through that.
I did do some reflecting, and I
meditating.
Had a good morning, and I still feel like shit, Corey.
Yeah.
Even here on Monday.
Yeah. I usually don't really turn the corner until like Tuesday afternoon. That's usually like my week.
There's races though, and there's events that stick with you for the rest of your life that you don't really ever get over.
And it's the Brickyard.
Brickyard's one of those, and I think that's the third one that's going to stick with us.
What are the first two?
Xfinity race there with Blaney when we lost it on the last lap.
In
2019 when we were leading, had control of the race. Harvick pitted. We were coming. Caution came out. He cycled in front of us.
That was it.
This one, which we'll get into, where Brad runs out of gas at the perfectly wrong time. But we got other stuff to talk about.
But positive things to stick with you. Big the week this week. You got your rings and your mini Bill France Cup.
That was a good deal. That was really cool.
What's that? Is there like a luncheon?
You know, like our 12 team's pretty laid back, just like Ryan is. I think the teams usually reflect the driver and the crew chief and the leadership. So we just had a little gathering, just our team, a little bullshit session. We talked about how there's rings getting given out this week, and yeah, it was cool just to get together. We more so talked about what we had done, where we're going, what our goals are moving forward, and got our hardware. Our team doesn't get too high on the highs, too low on the lows. So
how big is your Bill France Cup?
About
like a foot.
About a foot. It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it heavy? Sturdy?
It's not. Yeah, it's strong.
Does it come in like a little box?
Came in just a box with some bubble wrap.
Yeah.
Nothing. It didn't come in like a velvet bag. No.
Did you have your name on it?
The rings do.
Yeah.
The trophies are kind of more generic.
Yeah.
But the rings do.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was.
Should have brought it in today.
It was fun because we had I know I forgot to because I was running around this morning and I was more just upset about yesterday. But it was. It was fun to reflect and kind of set our goals on Indy and to go like what the most fun has been. I think with our team this year has been through the summer stretch setting goals and obtaining them. Yesterday was another one. That's why it was so heartbreaking because it was one of our things that we had circled as a team. And obviously found another way to lose it.
That was out of your control.
I think Ryan said it the best, and we'll get into it later. But he's like, I'm mad, but I don't know who to be mad at. Or just mad in general. And that was like...
You know who was mad this week? Kyle Busch.
That's a great segue.
He was big mad this week. So I guess chronologically, so I had a driver advisory council meeting at NASCAR. I believe this was on Wednesday. After we recorded the podcast, after mostly everybody had heard the explanation on the podcast, NASCAR said they weren't going to give me a penalty, which I appreciate that. And they said they were going to talk to me. So it was a good opportunity there. After the meeting was over, sat down with Brad and Elton Sawyer and just talked about my perception of, or my intention of the incident there and all of that. Talked for about 20, 30 minutes. You know, certainly there's a lot of collateral damage out of that incident. It was certainly a mistake on my part, but I felt like it was put to bed. And then the fire got stoked. Simultaneously, I tried calling Kyle Busch twice. I left him a message, texted him. He didn't seem too keen on a chat. Called RC. Didn't seem too keen on a chat.
Did you talk to Rich Childress?
No. And then I talked to Randall Burnett for a little while on the phone. I brought Levi to Despicable Me on, I believe that was Thursday night. Talked to Randall for a half hour.
To a movie?
I didn't take Randall to a movie. I took Levi.
I was gonna say, was Randall there with his kids?
No, I called Randall.
Okay.
Just to, like, hey man, sorry for wrecking your car. I know it's never fun to try to put casters on your unit and try to get into the box. So the only two people I talked to, actually I talked to Austin Dillon too. We did a tire test on Tuesday at Bristol. We can touch on that if it's worth it. I think we're going to see probably not quite as much of a tire degradation race in the fall as we saw in the spring, and that's probably where I'll leave it. Talked to Austin for a little bit there at the test about it. He said that's up to you and Kyle. They figure it out. So that was that. So then, huge Pat MCafee fan. He's been to the shop before. He's hung out with us at the go-kart track. And he also now, by the way, has the largest sports talk show that I enjoy listening to on a regular occasion. And Kyle Busch sits down with him. And I will say this. It's natural tendency when you have, like, what's the saying? An axe to grind? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like if you have an axe to grind and then you have a microphone in front of your face, it is intoxicating to just start going. And I've done it. And my natural tendency is to keep doing it. But I'm fighting
I know. I
that.
usually try to stop you.
I know. And I'm going to stop now because I'm going to prefer to try to de-escalate the situation. But he goes on there, talks about Ricky, talks about me, which we are the two latest things to add to the woeful and dreadful season, which is the 8 car for what we're accustomed to seeing out of Kyle Busch, top 5 greatest driver of all time. So I think that was probably – I was the last match to really flick off into his haystack and light it up, and he just happened to take the mic and drag my name across the media, which, hey – I had a lot of people reach out. Hey man, we're thinking about you. Don't let it get you down. I'm like, I really don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't know. I don't see any of it. The people that are in my circle, they're like, man, you good? Yeah, I'm good. I just wrecked somebody on a restart.
You got roasted on social media last week, which is a big change because usually,
what are people going to tell me that I haven't heard before? You suck. You've never won.
La joke.
La joke.
So that one came back pretty hard.
Did Corey wreck? Yes, he did. Actually, I didn't wreck that week.
You've never won a race at a national level.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
get some new material, guys.
Have you ever seen 8 Mile? If you're going to talk
Stacking Rex, heard
Stacking
that.
Cautions.
Did
you see?
Get some new material. I've heard all that stuff.
Have you ever seen 8 Mile?
Yeah.
That's what it, like when he gets up and does the final rap and he's like, I know all the stuff you're gonna say.
It does. And also this, there are unfortunately more weeks than not where you sit in this chair in the nonsense garage and wonder why the hell I do this, because you go and you're already putting yourself out there as a professional athlete, trying really hard. Everything you got most weeks isn't enough, right? And you work your off every day to try to become a competitive race car driver. And I've been doing this for 7 years and consistently have gotten better each and every year. But you're on the edge of the plank in terms of the ability to get criticism and critiqued and all the things just by being one of the 30, give or call it 28, 30 guys that get paid to drive a race car in circle. And then on top of that, I'm dumb enough to come here and be one of 2 guys that have a podcast that also talks about it.
Yeah.
Right. So I put myself out there even more. So I hear and I see all the stuff, right? And I have to compartmentalize that and get to work. But I willingly do it. Nobody drags me in here and puts a microphone in front of my face every week. Well, and I love to do it because I love the sport and I love what it contributes. But it's not easy, and there's a lot of weeks where it's not fun.
That's what was crazy to me last week. So I want to circle back to the Kyle Busch stuff, but before that, let's put a bow on what you just said. The people that come out of the woodwork that are like, and I'm going to read you a quote from a guy who understands your situation probably better than anybody, Landon Castle. He knows what it's like to fight on the back half of the garage. That's why it frustrated me what he said. getting on a podcast and doing a full-on breakdown of trying to exonerate yourself how you wrecked a NASCAR champion with the most NASCAR wins of all times, I don't know if that's a really good idea. So, like, Landon, homie, you didn't get on a podcast. You do a podcast every week.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing in the news leaving Pocono was you turning the 8-car.
Yeah.
So you're just supposed to come do your podcast that's scheduled for every Monday at 11 o'clock
and not
talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, dog. Anyway, so that's neither here nor there.
Well, hang on. Let me touch on that.
Yeah.
Because I think you were actually more salty about that than I was. So you stopped Parker on pit road. And
well, I had got into an argument with a guy that's on one of the Penske teams in the truck because he's like, "What's your boy going to do next year? Going to lose his ride? He keeps running and stacking cautions." And I said, "Why don't you shut the F up?" Like, well, I wouldn't do that. I said, "That's why you're not driving Cup cars."
Right.
Like, if you got a problem, walk down to the 7 truck,
and
go up in the lounge, and talk to him.
That's the thing. Everybody wants to get on their keyboards and fire off some tweet about it. You know where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, he's like, well,
I'm right here
on the spotter stand. They're saying this. Well, guess what? If he gets fired, he's going to make more money.
I'll be fine.
In getting released than any spotter up there for the next 5 years. So why don't you guys worry about spotting? And they were like, he was just like, well, like it got pretty heated where I was finally like, I've had enough of everybody's talk. They come right to me. I'm like, walk your ass down to the 7 truck
and come
if you got something to say. Because guess what? I'm on the 12 car.
Right.
I'm worried about the 12 car winning.
Yeah.
He's my friend, but I don't need to hear your crap. This was to PSA to everybody in the garage. So that's why I was sick of it. And then I read that Landon Castle tweet, and I'm like, this guy gets it. And he has a podcast. And his friend, who's an active driver, mics himself up during the race to make content for the fans. Like, how are you going to...
Well, I think a little... So knowing Landon how I do, we are buddies. We're friends. Didn't hear from him this week. I think that might be slightly out of context. And this is my perception of it. I didn't hear the money lap. Didn't listen to very much this week at all. But I think in Landon's point of view, touching on it on a podcast, regardless of the situation, probably wasn't the best thing to do. But then again, it's me doing what I'm doing every week, allowing myself to be critiqued off the mistakes I made, rarely celebrated for any sort of positives I do. So from the outside looking in, you probably shouldn't get on the podcast and run your mouth. And I don't feel like I run my mouth about it, but just present an opportunity to grill it even more. I think that's how I'm looking at it from Landon's perspective.
So I'm your buddy, and I'll tell you when you do dumb stuff. Last week when you left Pocono, wrecking the 8-car on a restart in a 1 is a racing thing.
Yeah.
What I told you is the stuff that you can have happen is driving into the fence on your outlap qualifying. Right? Like, that's the stuff. But because you've had 5 or 6 weeks of wrecking in practice, having issues, right? Then people just pile it on.
Oh, yeah.
It's like when you're down, they're going to put their foot on your throat.
For sure.
And that's how the sport is. So that's what made a dismal year so far is what made the situation with the 8-car turned you heel so quick.
That's fine. Because I've come to the realization that I'm not going to be the GOAT of this racing stuff.
What's crazy to me is turning Kyle Busch on a restart at Pocono used to increase your T-shirt sales exponentially.
Yeah.
Now
people feel
you
bad
are
for
the
him.
villain. This is like watching the WWE Attitude Era when people flip from good guy to bad guy week to week.
Yeah.
But it is
I think
what
people
it is.
do feel bad for him. Now, I think people have their own people. Here's the thing: everybody's going to have their own opinion. I'm not going to change their opinion, but all I can do is be consistent with who I am. And what I didn't like, and I think we can move on from it after this, is what I didn't like is he called me a liar, quote unquote, that I changed my story 4 times. I changed my story once. My original perception of it was I'm trying to get through the gears. I got through the gears well, got a big push. He blocked me massive, caved my right front fender in. And then after that, from the outside, it looks like it could, with all the pieces that the broadcast showed, it looked like it could be intentional with what Spark said on the radio. My perception of the event, the incident was out of my windshield. I didn't turn up into him. His car slowed down as I was trying to merge, turned him, a bunch of cars crashed behind me. Sparks says he got what he deserved, and I was like, okay. 40 laps later go by after the end of the race. I'm wondering why all these cameras are on my car. I do a flipping interview, which I wish I saw a replay about that because I probably would have softened my stance and changed it then. See all the pieces Monday morning.
Yeah, you get Sunday night. You get to digest it, hear other opinions, but also see the SMT, see the in-cars.
Look all the stuff. Look at SMT. See that he stretched fourth gear on the chip. React to it live time so tens of thousands of people can hear it and see it, my reaction live time. And I was remorseful. As we take a lap to recap the latest NASCAR action, here's a reminder that the sun's rays can put you in the hot seat. About 5.4 million cases of non-melanoma skin cancers, like basal cell carcinoma or cutaneous squamous cell carcinoma, are diagnosed in the U.S. each year, and approximately 90% of cases are associated with the UV radiation from the sun. If left undetected, these cancers can spread or advance locally and become more challenging to treat. Our sponsor, Regeneron, is helping people get real about skin cancer by raising awareness of the potential impact of advanced non-melanoma skin cancers. Visit letsgetrealaboutskincancer.com to learn more and take a pledge to see a dermatologist for an annual skin check.
I'm Steve Letarte. Join myself and Todd Gordon each week on NASCAR Inside the Race, presented by Consumer Cellular.
We will break down exactly how the race was won, plus we'll dive into the data and go in depth on penalties, race strategies, point standings, and rules changes.
And we have all kinds of fun tools to show off to provide all the minute details. Catch NASCAR Inside the Race each Tuesday on NASCAR's YouTube channel.
Like every race car driver ever in the country, that's ever in the world, you see it one way out of your windshield.
Yeah.
Objectively, should you have been a little bit more vague on your conversation out when you initially stepped out of the race car post-race?
Yeah.
That would have helped.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not who you are. You tend to get more in depth and try to explain things.
Yeah.
Everybody this is why they call it Monday morning quarterbacking, right? If you play a sport and you're in the trenches and you are immersed in the situation, of course, Sunday afternoon to Monday morning, once you get all of the data and you see it from 40,000 feet, your view changes.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch, he should understand that, but Kyle Busch also sees stuff his way.
There's a Kyle Busch perspective.
Now when he said, the thing that I didn't like was like, yeah, I'll get, like, he says he'll wreck you back, which leads me to my next point. If Kyle Busch wrecks you back and you have to fight, I wore this shirt just to let you know.
Watch out for Jay White. Watch out for that fella.
Get off this truck. Yeah. Justin White. If it goes down between you and Kyle Busch, make sure it's not near his pit stall.
Yeah.
And that the pit crew guys don't have an ample time to get there.
And let me be clear.
Because if Justin White gets involved,
let me be clear.
Can't help you.
I don't want it to come to that.
No, I know that.
And I don't want to do that. I'm a lover, not a fighter. And he had the incident. He had the opportunity at Brickyard. Fast forward. There was, I think, maybe first stage, second stage. We stay out. We rode inside the top 5. Felt like our car was good when we had some track position. Felt like probably the same as everybody else except the 5. Drove terrible when you didn't have track position. But there was a restart. I think I lined up 5th. He lined up 7th. And that freaking Cheddar's Camaro's in my mirror. And I'm like, f***ing great. You know, like, I should.
This is going to hurt.
I literally grabbed 2 hands. Like, I got my knee on the steering wheel and I grabbed 2 hands of the lap belt. I'm like,
Hans is tight. We're good.
Like, give it a couple head snaps. Okay. Sweet baby Jesus, protect me from this. So we get a good restart, roll the bottom. I think I made a lap or 2 in front of him, and he got a bit of run. He was still like 1 back, but he showed a nose. I couldn't have got my hand further out of the window. Like, go! You can have it. Take it. And then I lifted like halfway in the backstretch to make sure that he didn't even think about getting my left rear quarter panel. So he went off. He gave me a little deuces, and then we just continued to run nose to tail for the rest of that run, and everything was good. But I do anticipate probably getting run pretty hard by the 8 car for the rest of the year. And I hope we do get the chance to talk. We've been doing this a long time. What?
Why?
Yeah, I guess I don't.
What's there to talk about? He made it pretty clear there's not much to talk about. The thing that I took away that – I mean,
it is what it is.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, you're race car drivers. Everybody on Sunday hates each other now.
Yeah.
You're not going to hang out with them.
No.
Your kids don't go to school together.
No.
You're not going to drive for them.
Mm-mm. We're not going to be teammates.
What's a conversation? There's people that you have conversations with and talk stuff out.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch is not clearly not one of those guys. And look, massive respect for the guy as a race car driver. Right, and what he's able to do.
Top 3 or 4 best ever.
There's nothing to talk about anymore. No. It is what it is. You tried to reach out.
Yep.
Put it to bed.
Yep.
The thing that I love about the McAfee show is that when Stenhouse was in here, I made a joke about his shorts, and he shot me a dart. He didn't like the joke about his CrossFit shorts.
I can tell you this.
McAfee said, "You ever think you get punched in the face by a guy with that type of shorts on?" And I was like, "Thank God somebody else noticed that."
I can tell you this. Richard was not happy about that interview, probably more so than me.
Richard
Stenhouse Jr.
He was not happy. Oh, because he called him Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Not happy. Not happy.
Wow.
Ricky Stenhouse.
Well, yeah. It's a tough look.
Yeah, I was texting with Ricky on Saturday night.
Ricky gets mad.
I tell you, he was actually more fired than Ricky was Madison.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
She was like, she said she asked somebody, do I have to pay $75,000 if I punch him in the face?
Oh boy. I mean, look, that's just I don't know.
Let's just shift gears.
Here's what the only thing I wanted to tell you last week if I was here, and thanks for Brandon McReynolds for coming in, but the only thing I would have said all week is hold my watch. If you see Richard Childress passing his watch off
and somebody's holding a Rolex, you better be
just be ready.
Yeah.
So let's get into Indy, though. Enough
Good.
Of the nonsense.
We've spent 20 minutes talking about that nonsense. So you touched on Brandon filling in last week. We, as much as you guys, we want to continue to give you contractually, we're also obligated to give you shows next week and the following week for off breaks. We don't want to work, so we already recorded them. We had an interview with Connor Zilich, who today, July 22nd, turns 18, which puts the entire NASCAR garage on watch because this dude is the real deal. He won the ARCA race. He's 3 for 3 this year, actually, in the ARCA series. Won the ARCA race at IRP on Saturday night, Friday night. And he's special. So we had a sit-down interview with him last week, get into all things of his trajectory and where he's going. He's got a super bright future ahead of him. So he joined us right here in the Nonsense Garage. And also, we stopped by y'all's favorite, one of the favorite guests that you guys continue to bring up. We want to see what BJ's doing. We want to see what BJ McLeod's doing. Well, let me tell you this. That Florida man got some millions of dollars, and he has an absolute spread. We go to McLeod Acres. He's got a go-kart track. He's got a Lamborghini. He's got a Rolls-Royce. He's got an RC car track. It's unbelievable.
Was there skulls and spikes everywhere?
He's putting gargoyles up on his gate.
Why would he not?
And we talk about that too. And I would recommend going to watch that on YouTube. Is that the second week off? That's the second off week. So we're gonna go. Obviously, this show, Connor Zilich next week, BJ McLeod Acres the following week, guys. You're not going to want to miss that one. Talking about what he's doing, talking about what his goals are. BJ's chilling, boys. He is chilling. So good for him. It's going to be a big 2 off weeks for you guys in terms of what we're pumping out here for some stacking pennies. But on to the Brickyard. Special, just can we talk about how badass Indianapolis is? I mean, when you see Cup cars rifling off at a absolute flying 184 miles an hour, or 194 miles an hour in turn 1. I say that tongue-in-cheek a little bit because most of the people there are used to seeing cars go 240, but
I heard that you and Larson talked about that.
I passed him on right before qualifying. And he's qualifying later than I am, right? So we're passing each other. So he stopped for a minute and talked, and I was like, were you more nervous knowing you had to hold it wide open and go 240 miles an hour for 4 laps around here than 180 for one. He goes, I feel like I'm going 50 miles an hour faster in the Cup car.
Wow.
I was like, okay, that makes me feel better because I feel like I'm going 240 in the Cup car as well. He said, just because in the Indy car, you know, you can just put the left foot on the right foot, and next thing you do is see the checker.
Yeah.
Right? And you just make sure your shapes are right and you hit your apexes, and most of the time, if it's trimmed out right, you're going to make it. Cup car, you're off the gas, on a little bit of brake, trying to keep the right front biting, and the rear's edgy. So
watching the in-car cameras on for qualifying with like the 45 was, I've really enjoyed like being home on Saturday and watching qualifying, watching the in-cars and trying to understand where people are making time, especially a place like here where it's all about commitment and precision. And then the 45 made it, and he crossed the line, looked at his dash, and like fist pumped.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see because you guys are on the edge of the tire.
You're on the verge of slip, whether it's right front or right rear. You're on the that's what you're. But you can change how much attachment the right sides have by just how much lateral G you make into the corner and where you lift, and you can change your min speed around. There is no place more precise. Maybe Martinsville. You have to be uber
but at least
precise.
Martinsville, you downshift and drive away when you miss it now.
Here
you
pay
the price. But here you pay the price more because you have so much longer straightaway.
Massively. You have to be so precise at Indy. And people are like, oh, is it similar to road courses or similar to this or is it similar to Pocono? No. It's its own place. It's its own animal. You drive that place so much different, not differently, but it's just its own unique driving style. So let's get right into it. Tyler Reddick on the Staub. That 45 car was blazing fast.
First video we got queued up here, 24, big wreck down the backstretch.
Very large.
24 has had a rough stretch through the summer.
I don't really see what happened here.
So what happened here, if we have another view of it, is the 41 plugs it 3 middle, just kind of pokes it in there. You'll see it right here. Off of 2. The 14 shears up off the bottom, kind of takes it. 24 lifts.
Oh, yeah.
And they all kind of merge.
No room there.
The 24 inevitably blames us on the 14. He's like, the 14 was just making dumb moves back there. I don't even know what he was doing.
14.
Yeah.
Rewind that, Danny.
So, yeah, he caught
squirrels.
Hey, Randy LaJoy says.
So there's the 14 here is kind of stuck middle.
No,
it's like
if you go back, go back, he shears off the bottom. You see him,
okay.
and he's like, "Whoa!" Misses it.
Well, you're trying to get a run right, and it doesn't take all of a sudden you have some right front grip. Then it's like a death push.
So here's the difference, and we're gonna see this later when we watch the video with Hocevar, right? The 24 is not. I'm going to call 15th to 30th the Hornet's Nest.
Yeah.
Maybe even 12th.
Okay.
The 24 is not used to running in the Hornet's Nest. Because when I talked to you last night, and I don't know if you have the 77 video, you could just cue that up next because we'll go right into that.
I saw Ryan had some pointed comments.
But you said it perfectly. The way that you race in the back part of the
15th
field.
to 30th.
You said you just fill the hole. You just put it in there and you see what happens next.
That's it. You fill the hole and then you figure out how to get out of that.
Yes. When you're in the top 10, like the 24 and the 12 usually are, and you're not racing back there, you don't race that way.
No.
So you set up runs. Your car's fast enough where you worry about corner exit. Nobody does that.
A lot more give in the top 12 than there is there is zero give. All take, as Sketch says. Let's run the in-car camera at 24.
So, yeah, he just lost momentum, got put in a bad spot, and then, boom.
Large crash.
As Randy LaJoy says, if you run with the squirrels, you get your nuts broke.
That's a lot on the 41, too. Like, where are you going?
Well, wait a minute now, Corey, because yesterday he did the same thing the 77 did, and you're like, I don't think that was Carson's fault. You feel that you get it in there.
Hang on.
So, no.
Well, it's still, the outcome is the same. Somebody crashed. I still think that was 41's fault. Let's
look at this one. We're coming to the restart.
Called the 14 and them squirrels.
So the 77 plugs it middle.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the same exact thing. So if you're blaming that one on the 41.
I will say this. Carson has an unbelievable knack for being in the thick of the wreck and coming out clean.
Yeah. For sure. It was crazy here. So
yeah, it doesn't look good.
The angle, man, 07 time was in good shape, and the 22 was on the same strategy we were, so he was in really good position as well.
Oh, here's my in-car camera. You're just a little bit conservative there. Pow, 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 pow. Check it out.
Oh, dude, you're just following the guy in front of you, aren't you?
Yeah, and hoping you just don't have a door stuffed on your hood.
So when we were watching this, the view was just the view of from the top of the wall looking into turn 1.
Right.
So we just saw us spin, so we all jumped up and we thought we were wrecked. And Ryan's like, "I think I'm good."
Yeah.
And we're like, "What?" Timmy's like, "No, you slid pretty long." He's like, "No, my tires are. I think I'm good." So
Ship it.
we pitted under this caution, but just took fuel only.
Okay.
Because he said we were good, and I got a good look at the nose, and the nose wasn't separated from the splitter, and I'm like, man, we're in good shape here.
Were they was that right front into your door? Is that where?
Right front was into the nose. So it was like he spun them, and it kind of hit here and then kind of shoved, and it didn't. It's so weird, right? Because you can barely graze the fence and kill a toe link, but you can get hit perfectly hard, and if it just kind of hits square, it doesn't bend anything.
Yeah.
So we got super lucky. Everything, the tires weren't flat spotted, and nothing was wrong. And then we pit for fuel only, and then we're at the front of the guys with the fuel, and we're like, damn, we're in a couple caution come out. We're in good shape.
Is this first stage here, or I think it's second stage where we cycle? We had some good track position.
I saw this was a moment for you.
So running 5th, 6th here, in a pretty good spot. You've got to take a run here. I really debated on turning the 38 there because that was.
Thank God you didn't.
Thank God I didn't. So now, pause that. So a couple factors here. One, I probably should have lifted about 50 yards earlier than I did. But also, being that far to the left, I picked up a lot of trash on my tires. And I didn't really think about that because I was just more irritated about that block. So I went into 1. The 38 shuts it off. So now I have no downforce, as tight as I am to his bumper, and had a large moment. Lost a ton of momentum. Went from 4th to, I think, 11th is where I probably blended back by the time I was able to 13th, where I was able to get a spot back in. I wish I was able to I should have just lifted and covered and backed everybody up.
Yeah, that was a big move.
Yeah.
And you just got hung out. Yeah, I mean, momentum, right? Like, that's a big thing about this place with the cars is the minute you have to lift and kill momentum and get out of your rhythm, you're in trouble.
Oh, trouble. Because was part of the game, was to give yourself enough gap, clean air to the guy in front of you where you could get off 2 and 4 good. That way the guy behind you couldn't formulate a run.
That's what Larson did so well when he came back to the field.
Yeah, he was carving.
And I think that when I watched him cutting through the field, that's what it looked like how you would execute an IndyCar race.
Yeah.
How you would lift early, and then you would plan your run off of 4, and you would set that up in the 1. Like, okay, I need to have this gap when I get down into 3.
Yep.
And he did a really good job with that. Also, he ripped through the field because a lot of people were saving fuel.
Yeah.
So everybody was running half throttle. Like the 6 car, us, we were all saving fuel heavily.
Yeah, we were running 52 50s.
Which is exactly what this race, and I listen to Teardown every Sunday. It's my favorite thing to do when I get done with the race. And Jordan was pretty tough on how this race played out and why he thought it shouldn't be a crown jewel because there's no passing or anything. But the hardest part, and it just Jordan Bianchi, the Athletic, as we talking about in the Teardown, which I understand his perspective.
But I also think that because it's hard to pass is the reason why it should be a crown jewel.
So that's what I've been reading Everham's book. It's called Trophies and Scars or something. And it just so happened that yesterday on the plane was the chapter I got to was about the 94 Brickyard 400, the first one they ever went to. And the race is a game.
Trivia
this
question.
Race.
Do you know who blew a tire and was leading the race?
Yeah, Ernie Irvin. They talk about it. He said it was a cat and mouse game between the 24 and the 28. Our car chief, Raymond Fox, was the car chief on the 28 then.
Holy cow.
So I was like, what'd you do? Have too much camber? No, we got a flat. And it like still, like that's what I was talking about earlier. It still stung in him. And I'm like, well,
I feel like Raymond Fox is still, I feel like he's only low 40.
He looks younger now than he did in pictures back then. I don't get it.
It's unbelievable.
He's reverse aging.
Benjamin Button.
But what this race is, and the reason it's so hard to win, is that it's a constant game of cat and mouse and worrying about yourself. And the you can't, and I say this, but I'm gonna have to put my foot. I'm gonna have to put my foot in my mouth too. You can't usually have a mistake and win the race. Now the 5 car, and we'll get to this in boats and woes, had a big mistake which set them up to win the race because it became a fuel mileage race.
Yep.
If this does not become a fuel mileage race, the 5 car might finish 20th because they had to come back down and tighten a wheel. So it's a constant game of putting yourself ahead, getting good restarts, getting in line, not having moments like you did, right? Because when you have a small moment, right, even though it's not a to the naked eye a race where you can pass and do all that, when you have small moments of weakness like you did, like
that's
you said,
what I
you
was
went
so frustrated
from 4th to 11th
13th,
or 13th, right? 9 spots in one slip of a corner.
Yep.
And that's what you can't have happen at Indianapolis. That's why it's so hard to win. That's why it's so prestigious to win the race. Factor in all of the history and everything as well. But from a team standpoint, that's why it hurts so bad as well, because it's so hard, and it's so hard to put yourself in a position that when you lose it the way we did, it's devastating.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. That's, everybody was, I think we were, as a team, not particularly excited, but not particularly upset for our result. We finished 14th. Ending was a bit, I don't know, gnarly with the cautions and all that. We can probably get into that later. But it was just a lot of pressure this week.
You got a pit stop penalty up here, but let's watch this one in boats and woes.
Yeah, let's talk about that in boats
so
and woes.
So we can go to the 8-car wreck because –
Hang on. This is time for a shameless plug. So Gamebridge has a large partnership with IMS. Obviously, one of our largest partners is Spire. A lot of pressure this week. The boss came in. They were watching the IndyCar race. Andretti swept the first and second in Toronto. So they were popping champagne bottles during the race. They've got the walls of the Gamebridge suite in the pagoda all decaled up with the 7 car and my face on a big board and the whole thing. So I'm glad we ran halfway decent. Wish we'd have been a little bit better, but frustrated about, like you've said, one little mistake, 9 spots could change the difference of finishing the top 5 or 6 to finishing 14.
And that's why everybody talks about how hard, like we said, how hard it is to win an Indy, because you cannot have any moments of weakness. Like the 8 car. So it looks like we're going to win this race. It's like, okay, the 6 car is going to run out. The 5 car's here, but we can hold them off. Roll the tape on what happened to bring this last caution out.
How many to go is this?
This is 8 to go, 7 or 8 to go. Dang. It's single digits. The 8 car just, darn it. Just gets in there shallow.
Plowing tight to the 71 too in terms of how much downforce this car's going to make down there. Goes around. That's all she wrote.
We talked about Kyle Busch a lot today.
Yes, we have. And we're going to leave it at
that.
That
one wasn't your fault. Just so we can go.
Yeah.
So that was upsetting, and then this sets us up for the most devastating restart of all time. So we're talking on the open mics, coming to the green, like, man, the only thing that would be terrible is if he runs out of gas before we get to the restart zone.
Oh, no, he's running out of gas right now.
I mean, if he would have made it 20 more feet.
Yeah.
If he makes it past the opening of the wall.
Yeah.
Ugh. So this rolls the 5 car up. We're the control car. He's back a little bit. It looks there like he launched a little bit earlier. I don't know. But we're a sitting duck at this point.
I think regardless of where he launches, you guys are screwed the instant the 6 runs out.
Not necessarily, because they wreck here. So if we launch better and we can stay a nose ahead, we're still the control car, then we get the bottom.
Yeah, that's true.
So on these green, white checkered, sometimes you are just racing to the caution.
Did the 11 pit for fuel there prior to, like, what happened?
He did. He pitted for fuel.
Okay. So yeah, there was a couple guys in the top 5 there that weren't able to make it. How much do you want to get into this?
I don't want to watch it ever again in my life.
Well, in that case, Danny, run it back one more time. Let's take a look at it.
I don't think so. What's the right situation here? Because Blaney was upset that the 6 car pitted. It's a unique situation, right? And
yeah. Because if the 6 makes it another 100 yards, you guys drive off into the sunset, and that's it.
Yeah, and I'm frustrated, right, because I'm on the 12 team. So my hope in this situation, because I'm on the 12 team, is that they would wave it off, and then the control car gets to pick their lane, and you come back to the green.
That was a large wreck out of the 42. Holy cow.
Which I don't know if this warrants.
Ouch. Ouch. Large impacts from the 31 and the 42.
So Blaney was frustrated because he felt like they should have re-racked it. Now,
which has never happened.
It's never happened, but this is a unique instance. This has never happened either. Now, and Jeff Gluck made a great point about this yesterday. What if that was you with a Hendrick Team Alliance, right? That stayed out, and then you pitted like that, and then it gives the 5 the front row.
I think we could sit here and talk about hypotheticals till the
I
cows
know
come
that.
home.
I understand
not gonna happen
that.
Is that instance happen again and they do anything different?
I understand that, but if it did, then it really hurts the integrity of the sport.
Why?
Because if a team car stays out and then does the choose and then pits with 1 to go to give another team car the lead, but we're racers, so we are going to look at every instance and try to use it to our advantage. The only thing that I think could have been done better, and like I said, I am a biased opinion because
you were the most biased right now.
Our car was in a bad spot. But if something like this happens and they wanted to make you can't re-choose the whole field.
No.
But you can give the control car an option on what lane they want. That's the only thing you can do. That is the fairest way to play it.
How you gonna do it? Like, hang on, guys. Let's bring the pace car back out.
Put the caution back out. It's not the rule. I know. Is there a rule? The rule is that the inside. We've never, like I said, this is the first time of this. This is the first time this has happened, and it probably won't happen anywhere
it won't
else
ever happen again,
other than here in Pocono.
Right.
And really, at Pocono, it doesn't really matter. This is a situation unique to tracks with inside dominant lanes.
Yeah.
Right, where if somebody runs out of gas, like it's a 1 in a million situation, which we see NASCAR get put in this box
every time,
where it's like we have everything thought about. Something new happened.
Yeah.
So it's just frustrating for us. And then you look at the restart. It looked like the 5 fired first. I'd have to look at SMT, but now it was close. We're splitting hairs at that point. We're just looking for any excuse to get the lead of the race back because we want to win the race.
Yep,
I'll say that. Then the 41 wrecks.
So I think the 41 ran out of gas. I feel like, or the 9 just spun him out. But he clogs the entire row up. Yeah, he runs out.
He ran out of gas, yeah.
And this kills all of our momentum. Wish that didn't happen because I think we'd have been in the top 10, unfortunately. But
so it's a couple things. Like I think the argument is why they didn't throw the caution. Carson always makes out, doesn't he?
He does.
There he goes.
I'll give it to him.
So the question is why they waited so long to throw the caution. And look, for us, like we're tight on fuel, so at this point we're not going to win the race. So it's the best thing that happened to us, but it's tough because we saw him throw the caution, when the 22 was 15 feet before the line at Nashville. We've seen him be quick on the trigger. Here, we're probably getting tight on the TV window.
Yeah, well, they're already flipped over to USA. And
everybody's going to run out of fuel if they throw the caution here, so it's going to turn into another Nashville
instance.
Just a complete mess. So
I don't think they had a choice there, to be honest with you.
No, the question is, why did they not throw it sooner? That's the question. That's
because
what everybody's
they were watching them, trying to get it going. Forward, back. There was an instance in Xfinity race with like 4 to go. The Greg Van Alst, he blew up or something, had a flat tire, and he pulled behind the wall. So they were probably looking at the 41 if he was going to get in reverse to just back up off the racing surface.
Well, no, even if he's parked down there, you gotta throw it. But if he gets going and is limping down the backstretch, then you keep going.
Yeah.
With the fact that he's sitting there.
Yeah.
That leads us to the question of the week. Did NASCAR make a mistake not throwing the caution before the white flag? Right? We're in the middle of talking about this. I don't think it was a mistake because I think it was the best option to save the integrity of the race. The problem is it looks kind of bad on them because, like we've said in the past, it's been a little wishy-washy on when those cautions get called.
A little bit inconsistency, I will say that, but I do think it's easier to sit here on Sunday night and Monday morning and talk about a bang play.
Yeah,
right? They're not perfect, and there's only one guy with a button that presses it, and that's a lot of responsibility. So I don't want that responsibility.
Nope.
I think that it's very situational as well. So I'm glad I'm not the one pressing the button or not.
A lot to talk about on pit road as well.
let's just go ahead and get into it. We're already deep into Indy. Talk about the 5 cars' woes, and then they triumph. Several woes on pit road with the 9, myself, the 5. Several woes talk about from Indy coming up right after this.
I'm Ryan Flores. Join Kim Kuhn and myself each and every week right here at Around the Track. Whether you are going to the racetrack or watching from home, we get you ready for all things national and regional level.
And we'll tell you who and what to watch for each week. Plus, we get you ready for the weekend at the racetrack, and Erica will help you place your bets to win some easy money.
Be sure to check out Around the Track every Wednesday on NASCAR's YouTube channel.
All right, it's time for some pit road boats and woes. We didn't even really talk about Kyle Larson winning the bricks, but as Ryan said, this woe set him up for the win. So give us some context here.
Yeah, this is in the second stage, I believe. Come out. I haven't seen it yet. I just saw him come back down and tighten up. Oh. Right side. Okay, right side stop, which makes sense on why this would happen. Because if you're going to the left, if you're doing 4, he doesn't leave. Yeah, right? Like right. You stay there until it's tight, you come back, jack it up, and it's just a slow stop. But when it's a right side stop,
it's ripped.
Calvin felt like he didn't get the right rear tight. I don't know if it's a hang issue, if it's a button. There's a couple things that can happen. Either the hang doesn't get flat and the nut kind of ratchets up. You don't switch your button right away, and when you go back in, you pull the trigger, it doesn't grab, you got to switch it. The jack man looks like you covered the nut, so they drop it.
Yep.
He knew it wasn't tight. Thank God it made it back around the track. It stayed on there, but they came in and they pulled the wheel off, kind of spun it on the pins, because when it runs around loose, the pins on the back of the wheel get gnawed up. So if you just tighten it up, it'll make it tough coming off on the next stop. So they kind of helped themselves out, checked everything, put left sides on it. They come back out, and it puts them way in the back, because I'm thinking at that time, all right, they're out of it. And that's what this race is so much about. It's not won on pit road, but it's lost there. And it's little things. If you can gain one spot on pit road, someone's going to take themselves out of it. Someone's going to have a bad restart. Somebody's going to wreck.
Yep.
So it looked like the 5 car was out of it. Later in the race, obviously, he's the first guy with a full tank of gas that can go. So he just starts going hard. And he puts on a Kyle Larson-esque performance, drives it to the front, gets a gift, and he wins the race.
I mean, couldn't have said it better myself. Another woe was the 9 car, and he was particularly vocal about it, which he must not get the emails that everybody else gets, because there was a specific email sent at 11:03 a.m. on Saturday, prior to the Xfinity race, prior to qualifying, about blend line under green. And it reads this: returning to the track while exiting the pits, vehicles must use the acceleration lane through the exit of turn 2. Check your mirrors and come up on the racetrack. You may swing wide beyond the white line on the acceleration lane between turn 1 and 2. Last but not least, stay off the racing surface. Let's play the video.
Okay.
So that is clearly on the racing surface.
So that's
I don't have an opinion here. That's just the rules.
Well, I can see where he thought it was muddy, because
what about that's muddy?
Okay, so it paused right here. It says you can go above the white line. There's 2 white lines.
Well, actually, there's 3.
Well, obviously you're staying above the first one.
So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it clearly. There's the lane. There's the acceleration lane. There's a dead lane in between the 2, and then there's a racing surface.
Yes, the racing surface would be anything above that the second white line.
I'll give. He was taking all it could give.
Yeah, but when you read that, it says, well, I'm going to play devil's advocate with you. I agree. And the way that the language that I can only talk about what Timmy said to Ryan was, don't go above the second white line. You can't do that.
That's the second white line.
Yeah, but if it's all about how you interpret the rule, and it just says you can go above the white line. What he thinks is the racing surface may be different. Like what his team interprets as the racing surface may be different what everybody else. And right here, when you're pitting under green, This is when you can make the most time on your out lap, so he used too much of it. Obviously, he interpreted the rule different than most of the field, him and the 6 car. And the 5 car almost did it.
The racing surface, I feel like, is pretty straightforward.
I'm on the side with you. I agree. The racing surface is anything above the second white line.
Yeah.
But
I don't think that they have no reason to like what. I don't know what he was so mad. I mean,
dude,
he's
was
mad.
Pissed.
Let's hear the scanner of the 9 right quick.
I mean, what the f***? They sit out the sheet yesterday, do exactly what they tell us to do. They didn't say line. They said racing surface. So you tell me how the I was on the racing surface.
Well, you're not. I mean, to his point, nobody ever went down where he was and raced all day.
I don't know, man.
It's I'm with
Here's
you.
the rule.
I just wish the rule said you cannot go above the second white line. You can go above the first, you can't go above the second. Right? That would have just been cut and dry. Right sides have to be below the second white line.
Yeah.
That leaves racing surface, like what you think is a race surface and what I think
I would
is
call
racing.
that the third white line. But if we're going to get into the technicalities of
the
words
bottom,
here,
you can't go below the one that has grass under it.
I saw people going on the grass all day. There was no rule against that.
Did they come back out of it?
They don't tell you to have to stay off the grass. It's usually pretty self-explanatory.
I agree. So
this is kind of what I go when I tell the guys at the shop. Rule number 1 is this: if it looks up, it probably is. And that his pit road exit looked pretty up.
It did. I agree with you. But I'm just explaining why I think he's mad.
Oh, he was big mad.
If it would have just said keep your right sides below the second white line, you can go above the first, don't go above the second. It leaves zero interpretation.
Okay.
Right or wrong?
Yeah. I feel like stay off the racing surface is also pretty clear as well. But
so the 6 car got busted with doing that as well. You guys get a penalty when you come in and take fuel only. You get a jump early penalty. Is that what I understand?
No. Well, we had 2 instances. One, this is stage 1. We go long, following the 20 in. He's the pit box in front of us. Their strategy was a little bit different than ours. They were going to pit at the stage and just try to maintain track position, maybe get stage points. I think we pitted from like, I don't know, 11th or so. Come in. They took.
Turn in. Wheel take right. Foot on the brake.
So we're taking 4. I'm watching the 20, and these guys are taking rights and fuel only. So I'm like, a long right side stop. Waiting on fuel. So I'm like, okay, what are we doing?
Not yet. No. Come on. You ready? When Layman says, get ready. Go. Yeah.
Waiting a long time with fuel there. So that's on me, not remembering to go. But
well, I guess my question is, do you?
A little reminder would have been nice.
No. Do you and Ryan talk about if you're going on him or the jack?
He usually reminds me coming down pit road.
Why don't you just go on the jack? Why drop the jack there?
Because we've gotten in this mode where they drop the jack because they want to keep the pit stop times.
Okay, so moving forward, would you just tell Ryan that you just want to go on the jack? So that
it is habit for a race car driver. As soon as they rip the jack, you're going.
Correct.
But regardless, if he wants me to go on him, then I should remember to go on him.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree.
A lot of going on, So I would say that is a little bit hiccup, not very much. And but we had the real penalty of the day.
Dude, there's a video I had
over the wall too.
Do you have a video of me here? I got a funny story for you. Yes. Okay. So you guys had a penalty going over the wall too soon.
Yeah. On a fuel only stop, which is a bit confusing, but hey.
Well, it's easy. It's easy because you're not doing what you usually do, so you kind of get lazy and just step off the wall, and then you're like, oh crap, you didn't even think it was a penalty because you're not really thinking. I almost did it, and I reminded our guys like, yo, make sure you don't jump early. Let Chris do what he's doing. Oh yeah. Well, also the 2 car was leaving, or was that us? We were leaving. That's the 12.
Yeah, I was waiting.
We were leaving, so he didn't see your jump line.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's out there. Go back a little bit. He's also Stallings is also your tire carrier.
Yeah.
So he usually is standing down there. but he cannot see where you're at. He's guessing where you're at on the jump line.
Yeah.
If he's the dual purpose guy and he's holding tires, he's allowed to stand down there. The minute it becomes a fuel only stop and he's not doing tires, he's not allowed to stand down there.
Oh.
But he also cannot see where you are in relationship to your jump line.
Yeah.
Because of where the 12 is.
Okay.
He jumped out there to check. Was he checking
just
right?
looking at it.
Was there right front damage or anything?
No.
He just jumped out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a tough one for him, but I can understand a little bit him not being able to see his jump line. This one I had a funny story for you. I've never had this happen. So we come down, we do right sides. Here we come, right side stop, leaving on the jack, boom, roll the tire, cut it on me. Right there.
Yeah.
It spun me around because when I put my hand on the hood, my thumb went inside the
pin?
hood pin. My thumb went in the hood pin right there. That's why it spun me around. I was like, "Oh!" And I was like, "I hope I didn't pull it out."
The pin or your thumb?
The pin.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah, Hassler would have rather your thumb take a ride than.
So that's where I was like, when I put my hand down, I never. And then you can watch it on my helmet camera, plain as day. You can see my thumb go in the hood pin, and then like, whoa! I pull it out,
Whoa.
and I thought my fingernail was gonna be black and blue, and that's why I spun around with the car because like, whoa! I hope I don't get stuck here.
I feel like it looks, you know, when you're running around the front of the car, when you see cars coming in, I feel like people don't realize, and I don't even realize how much force a car's launching with.
Oh,
I don't think about that.
It's big. But like
and that's a large, heavy vehicle, freaking moving.
Yeah, yeah. You got to get out of the way. But
Yeah.
the good thing is like you can kind of jump on the hood and roll off of
Right.
it. Yeah. I don't really have.
How's your thumb? Is it okay?
My thumb is good.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, my thumb's good. It's a little sore right where it got stuck, but I'm good to go. Oh, yeah, that's what you just wanted to use the violin. You just wanted to use the violin.
Yeah.
Get off this truck. I'm calling Justin Waite on you. I you know what? It's a fuel mileage race. The 5-car had to repit and tighten their wheel, so I can't give them dogs of the week. Kyle Larson could get it, but I'm not giving it to a driver, and I'm salty. So nobody gets dogs of the week. Everybody just go on vacation and do better at Richmond.
Dogless. This week. That's how salty you are.
They're all in the dog pound.
They're all in the dog house. But first, let's list off. You're not giving him a dog, but I'm going to give him the. Well, I don't need to give him anything because he had the trophy, and he got to kiss the bricks this week. Kyle Larson felt like sweet redemption. Going from trying to do the double, had a good showing in the Indy 500. Didn't end up finishing as good as he had hoped. Comes back and kisses the bricks. So,
did you see Mrs. Hendricks' wristlet?
No, I heard about it though. A lot of pendants are won by.
What a flex
by Miss Linda Hendrick.
Yeah, what a flex.
So that was it was cool that Rick and Linda and everybody was there. Jeff Gordon seemed to be getting a lot of TV time as well. 5-time Brickyard 400 champion. So
the worst part was that our pit box was at the start-finish line, right where everybody gathers.
Oh, brutal.
So they're all like right there celebrating right in front of us, and I'm just there feeling shame.
I wonder how many times. I'd like to know. You know, there's a lot of pictures being taken with those guys kneeling, kissing the bricks. I wonder how many times that Kyle Larson kissed the bricks. Over under 20.
What? Kyle Larson?
Yeah.
You think he's going to win 20 brick?
No. Like the hat dance. It's just like, again.
I did it for the Xfinity race. So I did it for the Xfinity race there. It was 5, maybe 3.
Oh, I bet you. I mean.
For a cup, but for Kyle alone, the team probably does 5 or 6.
Okay.
Because you do it with your hat, you put it on backwards.
Yep.
For Kyle, probably 20. It's every partner he has. If that's how they do the hat dance, I don't know, because they utilize Victory Lane a lot more now that they fixed the lift, which Indianapolis Motor Speedway, shameless plug here. I know I work for the guy. Since the Penske Group has taken it over, it's definitely come back to life quite a bit.
I would say. It's a world-class establishment.
The fact that the lift was just broken for all them years is tough to know. But the lift is back working. It could, it's really cool, Victory Lane, to go up there. Man, it's such a special place. I'm so excited that we go back there to the Oval. I do hate that we were in pit stall 16 where the 5 team was celebrating. But, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if you do the hat dance up on top now that Victory Lane is utilized.
You probably
more,
do it. They're probably still doing it. It is a
they
large.
They didn't climb the fence. I thought him being a Tony Stewart fan growing up, they would have went. But I thought they would have climbed. You know, like Riley Herbst and them.
He did. Shout out Riley Herbst. Unbelievable drive on Saturday.
He could be the dog of the week.
I could give Riley the dog. They had a absolute hot rod too. Beat his teammate, lost track position a couple times, got it back, got the lead. We got the last half lap here, so the 20
even better than the last half lap was the second to last lap.
Misses the proximity of 3, got to the left rear, but the 20 puts it on his door here and almost got him around.
Whoa!
Huge slide.
The cool part,
stayed on the throttle too. That was a hell of a finish.
Wow. Yeah, that was amazing. The other thing that we talk about a lot with the 98 was you can pack left rear air with the Xfinity cars.
Yeah, you can
right?
manipulate the car in front of you where you can't do that with the Cup car. Do they have the front camera that was like off of turn 4? So that one where you can see his windshield.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
How much angle he had in the wheel?
Dude, his steering wheel tape went from like 11 to 6. Like, oh.
Yeah. A lot of talk about Riley going Cup racing, so that is definitely going to help his chances.
Well, potential team owner Denny Hamlin just tweeted one word, said impressive.
Impressive.
So, who knows? There's been a little bit of chatter there. Interested to see what the
best was coming to the white there. When he got under the 00 and then the 20 car come 3 wide. I was like, damn, because I was driving to a birthday party with my kids and my wife, and I pulled over. I'm like, hold on. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, you got to watch this last lap. And we were watching it, and she's like, we got to get there. I'm like, oh, no, we're watching this, and I was happy I did. I watched it on the old NASCAR app. It was exciting, and the call on, I guess it's not MRN, it's IMS radio.
Oh.
Was really, really good.
Bestwick up there in the booth?
It was, yeah, all those guys do a great job.
So, yeah, shout out to Riley getting a dub there.
So we had some questions this week.
Hashtag Penny for Your Thoughts questions on Instagram and X. What do we got?
We've already asked this one. Do you think NASCAR should have thrown the caution? They did throw the caution. Should they have thrown it sooner? Sure. I don't know. Moving on.
Is what it is.
What's a quickie yellow?
It's a great question. It's a caution in which lead lap cars and lap down cars can pit at the same time to keep when there's not a lot of track cleanup and they want to get back to green quickly, they'll call it a quickie yellow. That way the lap down cars can pit on the same lap with the leaders.
Yes, the leaders usually pit the first lap by when pit road's open, and the lap down cars have to pit the second time by. That helps with congestion on pit road.
Yep.
So when there's a quickie yellow, it's usually after there's a quick caution, everybody's already pitted. Everybody comes down at the same time. Mm-hmm. Like you said, to save time. Next one. What are your plans for the next couple off weeks?
Very minimal. I want to just hang out and try to hang with my kids, take them to some parks, maybe the BMX track here to catch up on a lot of lost time, a lot of time investment into the career at this point of the year, especially when it's not going as great as you want it to. You got to be a little more visible at the shop, a little more sim time, a little more meetings. So going to plug into the family a bit harder the next couple weeks. We're going to go to Yogi Bear's Jellystone Park Friday through Monday. So I'm excited about that. Bring the RV up there, make some s'mores.
I hope that kayak. Your kids want to go in that water park, and it is as frigid as it was when I went, because the water up there in the Smoky Mountains is cold, buddy.
Yeah. And
so I hope you freeze your ass off.
That's the thing about kids, too. They have they don't care how cold it is. They can be blue. And they're like, yeah, Dad, more.
Dude.
They don't stop.
They're terrible. Terrible. I put an ice bath in at my house, and I get in it, and I'll get in it in the morning, and then Harper will come and get in it. And I'm like, what? She's like, oh, it's cold. And she gets out like,
it's kind of like riding a bike, too. Like, when I was a kid riding a bike, I feel like I could ride with Lance Armstrong. I'd ride 100 miles and not get tired.
Yeah.
I go ride 12 now, and I'm like, dying.
Yeah.
Heart beating out of my chest.
Next one, Caleb Nelson asked, should NASCAR run both the oval and the road course? I'll answer this. No, just the oval.
Yep.
Done.
And I'm gonna have unpopular. I got an unpopular take. I feel like the Brickyard 400 should be an every other year thing.
No, I disagree.
That's my opinion.
But I mean, it's okay. I think that I think it's such a test, man, that it could.
It's a test. It's cool.
Did you not love it?
It's badass. Yeah. I think it would just continue to drive the demand though if it wasn't a yearly thing.
Okay, last one. Would you ever run a sports car IMSA race? If so, what car, what track? I like that question.
Those hypercars. Now, those hypercars are unbelievable. I would love to drive one of those Cadillac hypercars. I have zero connections or road course experience to even be in consideration to drive one of those cars, but if I had a choice, I would drive the Cadillac hypercar, and I'd probably drive it at I'm thinking Watkins Glen.
What about Laguna Seca, dude?
I don't know any of the corners of Laguna Seca, but
the corkscrew.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I mean, I obviously know and I have a general idea of Laguna Seca, but hypercar, we'll go hypercar or Laguna Seca. I think that'd be pretty fun.
Sweet.
Join host Kyle Petty for part 2 of the NASCAR Insiders Roundtable series presented by Goodyear. As KP chats with team owners Kelly Earnhardt Miller, Jordan Wood Hicks, driver Carson Kvapil, and NASCAR's Joey Denowitz about the future of NASCAR talent, team ownership, and of course, its fans. Watch the NASCAR Insiders Roundtable presented by Goodyear on NASCAR's YouTube channel.
Got any penny stackers of the week?
Several penny stackers of the week this week. First off, the ones that come to my mind are the Schluter guys because they were affected by that Microsoft issue on Friday when it had all the airport shut down. So those guys drove from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Indianapolis. Wow. I don't know how long of a ride it is, but it wasn't short.
Did you see the Sieg team? They were late getting to the track. Just the crew chief, I think, is Charlotte-based. I think those guys are all out of Atlanta, maybe.
About Ryan Sieg?
Yeah. And they all flew in, got there late. Noah had to practice the car. The crew chief had to get the car through tech by himself.
Dang.
And they got there kind of halfway through practice and made it happen. But
also, hang on, don't move. Shout out Schluter guys. But also, there was two more. Marshall from Virginia was another shout out to Marshall. And also Haley from Indianapolis. So she gave me a penny after the race. That was very nice of her. I added it to the bucket.
I got some pennies this week, and last at Pocono. I wasn't here at Pocono. A lot of people at Pocono.
Yeah.
Homeboy with the fireman's hat.
Yes, I signed that.
He was a stud. A lot of people. Getting a lot of penny stackers each and every week.
Yeah, so I appreciate when you guys reach out.
Yeah, a couple shout-outs. Todd Gillen been crushing it, him and Ryan Briganti. Ryan keeps having awesome strategy calls. So
he was up there all the third stage.
I was reading, like I said, I've been reading that book, and man, I'd love to do a tell-all of the 78 guys, like have him and Blake Harris in here, and just tell us all the stuff they were doing back in the old car. But that is probably not, with them being active crew chiefs right now, that's not something they can do, but it would be cool to do that.
I feel like that's past the statute of limitations at this point, though.
I don't know, dude. There's still a lot of the same people, so if they say some of the stuff they were doing and it was egregious, they could get
slap.
Yes.
Also, Noah Gregson, P7.
Yep.
The Colonel, back on the Cup Series.
Cole Custer.
After qualifying, I'm walking back from the Cup garage, and Cole Custer's walking out. He's on the pole. He's in his, Haas fire suit, ready to go. And I'm like, hey, man, welcome back to the show. Pumped up for you. Good lap. Go get him today. Good luck, all the things. And we're just chopping it up for a couple minutes. And as soon as he turns around and starts walking to the grid, some fans like, Ryan Preece.
Oh, my.
Please sign this. So people will start being familiar back with seeing the Colonel driving in the Cup Series. Number 41, Haas Factory Team.
Danny's got F1 team orders written up here, and I got
no idea. Did you watch that?
No, I got no clue.
It was tough.
Who was it?
McLaren, Lando Norris, and Oscar Piastri. Without getting into the weeds of it, I don't like team orders. I know that there's necessities of it. Cliff notes. Lando's on the pole. Oscar was on the outside pole. Oscar gets the lead after turn 1, and now it's 1-2, Oscar, Lando. They pit for the first set. Still, Oscar's out in front. Lando's in second. Lewis Hamilton's in third. They were going to undercut Lando to try to continue to stay in front of Hamilton, back Hamilton up. That way when Oscar pits, he comes out in the lead. So when the amount of time that they peel him off 2 laps early, Lando comes out and laying heaters down on some prime tires. When it all cycles, they continue to block Hamilton, but now Lando's out in front. Prior to the race, from what I understand, they had an agreement that whoever is leading after the first stop, knowing that the second stop they were going to have to probably undercut somebody to keep the field behind them, whoever was leading after the first stop that was the order in which they were going to reassemble after the second stop. So Lando comes out like 4 seconds ahead with like 15 to go and drives off to a 6-second lead. And the whole time the team's like, Lando, you need the team. You need a team, Lando. You cannot win the championship by yourself. You're going to need Oscar and you're going to need a team. It's not selfish. The whole time. And Lando is laying heaters down, driving away, silent on the radio. The whole time. Lando, rearrange the order. You know the deal. Rearrange the order. Heaters. Driving away. And the entire time, too, I'm listening to the broadcast, and they're like, I don't know what he's trying to prove. I don't know what he's doing. Why is he doing this? I don't know. To try to win the fucking race, maybe. You ever think about that? We're racers. We're very selfish people. So Lando says nothing. Literally just pulls over down the front straightaway with 3 to go. Damn near comes to a stop and lets him go just to like prove a point like in front of his pit box, and then continues to run second.
That's why you guys should watch NASCAR.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, we got an F1 documentary too. So, or we got a Netflix documentary too. Yeah, that would never. I mean, could you imagine the penalty if they had that happen here?
Yeah, like manipulation of the race.
And
like
that's just. Opposite. I mean, that's why that the technology is cool.
Yeah.
The racing can pound sand. We're way cooler than them.
Way cooler than them. Did you have anything grind your gears this week?
No, that Landon Castle deal did a little bit, and everybody kind of piled on you, but that's your deal. If you're not upset about it, neither am I.
I'm really not. I'm going to keep on keeping on, man, like Joe Dirt says.
Cool.
What I need you guys to do, if you're listening, you probably support the show. Maybe you support me too in my racing endeavors. So if you're doing that and you're one of those people, you can like this show. You can give it 5 stars. You can maybe even leave us a comment or fire off a hashtag penny for your thoughts, questions. And just keep stacking pennies each and every day. The next 2 weeks, you're going to have a lot of cool stuff coming out with Connor Zilich and BJ McLeod. So tune into that. You're not going to want to miss it. We're going to break down all the things each and every week for you guys. We'll keep coming back. Kyle Larson kisses the bricks. Now we got 2 off weeks for the Olympics. So go Team USA. I'll be watching. What's your favorite Olympic event?
BMX.
I did not anticipate you saying that. I actually forgot that was an Olympic sport, but yes, it is. That's a pretty cool sport.
Yeah. What's yours? Swimming, you nerd?
No, I'm not I watch it. I watch as much. I watch the shot put.
Swimming's cool, actually.
I watch javelin throw. I think just the 100 and 200 meter sprints are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wish that, that people talk about golf, like they need to put like 120 handicap out there against the pros and just see like, and here's, Bill Smith on his 9th shot out of the rough. Like put a normal sprinter in the first lane and just see how bad they get.
Just to show everybody
what
it's like.
And give them like a half, like actually make a Joe Smith start at a 50 and he do a 50-yard dash or a 50-meter dash, competed against a 100-meter dash and see how close he can get until I think a Noah Lyles is like the best guy, the sprinter. So I'll be watching.
Good luck to them.
Yeah, good luck to all those guys. Peak athletic performance. That's it, guys. That's all I got. Keep stacking pennies. Appreciate you tuning in. Whether it's on Sirius XM Channel 90 or YouTube or podcasts, we'll be here.
Have a good couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We'll catch you in Richmond.